House of the Dragon. Finally, some real TV amongst all the nonsense we've been getting nowadays. No names involved. Now, I went into this episode with some slight high expectations. I kind of ruined it for myself because I saw a 9.9 rating. And even though I don't think it was a 9.9, it was pretty good. It was a solid episode, but I was kind of expecting more. Now, I was completely unaware that there was going to be time skips before the big time skip at mid-season, because I know they're meant to be jumping 10 years ahead and all the child actors will be replaced with adult actors. But I didn't know in between that they were going to have little gaps, or maybe it will accumulate over time. I'm not too sure. But at some point it does feel a little bit disjointed because so much time has gone between episodes. You're thinking, well, what's happened between it? Has it really just been that stagnant? But I understand they have a lot of ground to cover and they have a lot of things to set up, which they are setting up well before we get into, I'm going to say, like the prime time. But one character who I think got the most shine and is quickly becoming my favorite character is King Viserys. Now, I didn't realize this character was going to have so much depth and so much layers. He's really and truly a conflicted man, torn between duty and tradition and his family, like his brother and his daughter. I honestly thought maybe he would be like a side character or more of a supporting character, or he would die fairly on, but he's becoming quite prominent and he's becoming very, very interesting. And I like that, his morality and trying to be a good man for his daughter, for his brother, for his family, it's coming into contest with his duties, right? And it just makes me feel like he's a good man, but a bad king. And I'm glad they're exploring such thing because we don't really see much like that. And I love his relationship with his daughter. The fact that, he's going against tradition now for his daughter because he loves her so much. I love the love he expresses for Viserys' mother, his former wife, despite him making that crazy decision to essentially kill her. And I like how much it's affecting him and how defeated he looks. Now, prior to this episode, you thought his biggest threat was the infections he's getting from the cuts on the Iron Throne. But really and truly, this episode, he looked like he was killing himself. And I completely missed the CGI of his finger. I didn't notice it, and I'm surprised I didn't even realize. But that's one thing I like about this show, that even in the downtime, even when there's not really action or conflict going on, you just don't know what's going to happen and you don't know who's going to die. And that sort of tension in the scene, even if it might be unintentional, makes these episodes so much more interesting to watch. Because, nowadays with TV shows, you can kind of expect what's going on. Heroes are going to win. I'm not naming any names. But with Game of Thrones, with the House of Dragon, I'm just generally unsure. The conflict between Daemon and the Crab Feeder was quite anticlimactic because I genuinely thought the Crab Feeder would have more of an impact on the story and be more relevant and be more of a force at play. Maybe we'd go into his backstory and find out how he became that. Maybe we would find out what he actually wanted. Maybe we find out his plan. I don't know. But it just seems like he was something to keep Daemon occupied for the last 3 years. And then we come on to my main problems with this show, and it's really and truly the whole last battle. Firstly, it was very, very predictable in a sense that in a show where there's so many dragons and dragons on command, you always expect a dragon to come save them at the last minute. And that's exactly what happened in this episode. Granted, I didn't realize who the dragon would be, but it was still a dragon nonetheless. And they need to be careful because you don't want them to overuse dragons. In Game of Thrones, there was 3 of them, with Drogon being the main one. So whenever the dragons were on screen, it was quite surprising and it was quite entertaining. But now there's so many, I'm scared it's going to start to diminish the quality and it's going to start to diminish that feeling we get. And how many times can we see a dragon appear at the last minute and save them? It's going to start wearing off very, very quickly and get kind of boring. And lastly, I know I said House of Dragon is quite, unexpected, but I really didn't expect Daemon to die, and therefore it sucked all the tension away from that last scene. Daemon is really and truly the only antagonistic force at play for our main characters at the moment. Well, at least the most interesting one with the most connection. So it wouldn't make sense to kill him after 3 episodes, especially after we just had a 3-year time skip. It just wouldn't make sense. And if they did kill him, yeah, I would have been pleasantly surprised, but I didn't expect them to, and I didn't think they would. And that whole plan they had to, defeat the Crab Feeder felt kind of like a cop-out. They've been fighting for 3 years, and you're telling me after all that, such a basic plan worked. Like, as the Crab Feeder, you would know that there's, dragons flying about. You wouldn't send out basically all your forces to go get Daemon. I know he's the prince, and I know he's important, but come on now. But other than that, I think it was a solid episode, and what I like about House of Dragon and what I like about Game of Thrones in general is, even though the fighting is great, the most interesting part for me is that the politics, the rivalry, the game, the family and the relationships between people. And then the fighting, conflict, and dragons are added layers on top of that. But at its core, it is a drama. But yeah, that's House of Dragon. Tell me what you guys think. Did you think it was good? You didn't like it? Let me know. If you think I'm chatting pop, Let me know. It's been your boy Sly, and we out.